Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Today we're straight into the action. We're working on the 1998 Salem Overking. It's a customer order. We've got a lot to try and get through today, so I thought we'd just hop straight in and we're going to get as much done. Obviously we're speeding up the examination straight off the bat. Just doing all the testing and then we'll get into it. If you're enjoying this series or any content on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and a like on the episodes does really help as well. And that is the testing done. Now, this has a few issues, this car. So filters need doing, car doesn't start. A few strange noises from the engine bay. It's not going to be too bad. Engine oil, it's not too bad. Loud when accelerating, that's an exhaust issue generally. Gear issues, transmission not responsive. So I'd say the engine has to come out, would be my first bet. I just think there's going to be too many things. The angles aren't going to be brilliant for trying to get to everything. So yeah, we'll take the engine out. So drain the oil first. Just got to make sure we don't get that penalty and trophy that's needed for spoiling oil on the floor. I'm avoiding it for as long as possible. There's no oil in the car anyway. Nothing is dripping. Well, it didn't look like anything was. It's always good to check. While we're underneath the car though, we can get rid of the middle muffler. We can replace that later. We're going to need to come back underneath once we put the gearbox thing back on. Talking of gearbox, drive shaft off first, and then this gearbox can come off next. Gearbox is looking in a sorry state. Hopefully it's high enough that we can actually fix it rather than having to buy a new one. That will save us some money on the job. Can't take it out. Starter motor, my normal thing that I forget. Always a starter motor first, then gearbox. Always forget it, every time. So we're looking to see what the percentage is. It's red. We're going to have to buy a new one. That's a little bit annoying. You can also see the other bit of the exhaust. I think it's the intake manifold that's gone on the engine. That may be the other loud noise that it said the car was loud. That would be my guess at this point. Okay, so engine crane's in place. We better take out the coolant before we take the engine out. Mainly because we may have to take off the water pump, which would be a spillage if we haven't. So I think I spotted that pretty well. That could have been a little fine there if we hadn't. But engine is now out, so we can take this to our engine crane and workshop and actually have a proper look at the engine, see what's going on, and hopefully solve it all. So there's a few parts we can already see are no good. Some is on the timing bit. Okay, there's a few issues. So the exhaust manifold, it wasn't intake, it was the exhaust manifold that I spotted. That is no good. Again, exhaust can't be fixed, but the exhaust manifolds can. So no, it's a red, we can't fix that anyway. Anything red we can't fix. Let's have a look what else we've got. Camshaft is gone as well, so we'll have to deal with that, which means the timing cover needs to come off to get to it. Fuel filter's no good. Engine's got a few issues, let's put it that way. So we're going to have to take apart some of it. Hopefully, I think the testing showed we don't need to do pistons. So we don't need to get into the nitty gritty. We can just do most of the surface stuff. We just need to take off bits and pieces to get to it. So idle roller there needs replacing. They can't be fixed. We've learned this the hard way. Water pump, we do have to take it off. So good job we got rid of the coolant first. That might also need fixing or replacing. It's quite low. Not sure if that's on the list or not. I think this needs anything over 50% parts. That's definitely red. The water pump itself though was the pulley I was looking at. So alternator off as well, that needs sorting out. We're going to need to get behind this area here. The timing cover has to come off just so we can get to the camshaft and all that connection. This has a lot of bolts. I'm looking forward to that ultimate all sped up unscrewing speed. That will make a big difference. Right, so it looks like we're going to have to take the chain off and the shoe off to get the camshaft off. So the timing chain come off this side. We don't have to worry about the other side, I don't think. I think it's just this side. Cam gear. And while we're here, what else have we got? We've got an oil filter that needs changing as well. That's quite handy. The camshaft cap is an all-in-one. It's more annoying when they're singular. 2 screws or 2 bolts per one. That's more annoying. It's a singular. So get this off. And then I think that's all the surface engine work done. So we're going to take off the gearbox elements, so the clutch, bearing, pressure plate. They all need doing. Most of these can't be fixed. I think one of them can, but I can't remember which one it is. And flywheel's gone as well. So that is everything fixed, repaired, brought new if needed, and we can get everything back on. It was mostly surface engine work needed. It wasn't anything spectacular. You'll be able to tell if we've actually brought anything or fixed it because there won't be a second of it that's low, so we've had to buy that one. As you can see, there was a broken one still in the inventory. And some of the things can't be fixed. We're learning this. Some things can be fixed. We do try and fix what we can. We also take things out of our warehouse when needed as well, just to save ourselves a little bit of money, add a little bit more profit. So that one, we did fix it, but only above the minimum. I think we put it in 82%, and it needs to be a minimum of 50. I think we fixed it. I can't remember if we did. I think we did. Anyway, brand new fuel filter. What else have we got here? We can put all the timing back on actually. So cam gear on next. Didn't need doing anything with that. The belt didn't need doing. It was just we had to take it off to get to what we needed. Oh, we did need doing. We actually replaced it. I didn't think about that. Engine cover can go back on. You miss these things. You forget. While we're here, we can do the exhaust manifold. That had to be completely replaced, but that is done. Shoe back on, and then we should be able to put the timing cover, I believe. Yes, we can. Then we can forget about that. It doesn't take long before you start getting your head around what needs to be taken off to get to what. It's when you work on an engine that's a little bit different to all the others. The V8s and the V12s and the V6s are a little bit different, and you can, you think something's going to be in one place and it's not. It's only after you get into the nitty gritty you then realise, oh, okay, I kind of remember now. Some of it does stick, some of it doesn't. Right, we're on to the idle rollers now. And just need to put all these back on. We've got the crankshaft pulley. Another idle roller. That one needed replacing. And then the belts. And I think we're nearly done on the engine already. The engine didn't have a lot to do with it. We just needed to get it out just to have a little bit more leeway and view on what needed sorting. Right, oil filter. Nicely done. And I believe that is the engine done. It's not 100% brand new. We're just double checking we haven't missed anything. It's always nice to put on the replaced parts and just have a little spin round in case you see anything that may have been missed. But engine off. Again, it wasn't much. It wasn't a big deal, the engine. It was just we needed the room to get to what we needed to get to. So that is done. Engine crank can go away. And I think there were filters and stuff to do. Wasn't there an issue with the fuse box? Can we see the fuse? It will tell us the one that's red. It's going to be the last one we check. Guarantee it. That's an orange. I think it's that one. Right, maybe not the last one we checked, but it was. We checked the fuse before we got it. So there's only one fuse needs replacing by the looks of it. There we go. So we can buy a new fuse now, and then that's all that done. Medium fuse. Get that put back in, and that's the fuse box. I think there are filters needed changing as well. I think we've done 2. I think there was an air filter. It's difficult to remember the list of jobs offhand. I do check quite often. We'll have to come back to the filters. We're going to do all the underneath stuff. I think that's the best way. So you've got to remember the stuff that I normally forget. So yeah, air filter showing up there still needs doing. Oil. Gearbox, obviously, we haven't put back on. That was an expensive part, as they always are. It's always nice when you can fix a gearbox instead of having to replace it for new, or if we have one in the warehouse. It's always a bonus. It just makes a bit more profit on the job itself. Right, starter motor. We always put this on as soon as possible after the gearbox. Otherwise, I tend to have a habit of forgetting about it. Front exhaust back on. We took those off, both of them off, just so we can get the engine out. There we go. And what have we not put? Driveshaft. Can't forget, I've done it a few times. I've put the car ready to give it back to the owner and realised I haven't done the drive shaft. Car's not going to go anywhere, is it? And while we're here, middle muffler. There we go. So I think that's everything underneath the car now done. This car isn't taking us that long, to be honest. I'm just having a quick look around. See if to make sure there's nothing I've missed. Start motor I did do. Yeah, definitely done it. Always have to double check myself. It's always that doubt. Yeah, it hasn't taken long, this car. But it was just a nice little one we needed to just get done. So we can buy a couple of things ready for the next story car. Which I'll explain once this car's done. So air filter next. We don't need to replace the covers. It's the actual air filter inside itself. And let's take the cover off. You'll see it's a little bit wrong. It's gone. So we need to do a new one. Once it's black, you know you can't get that. Do anything with it. It needs a brand new one. You can't fix them anyway. As in real life, you can't really fix an air filter, can you? So the part's back in. The annoying thing about air filters and some of the other little parts in general are the clips. They're frustrating to try and get with the cursor. And remember and make sure. It's when there's one missing and you don't know it's missing. And it's the one part that still needs replacing. That's annoying. So clips back on. I think we're pretty much done, to be honest. So let's refill the oil. As I say, it hasn't taken us that long to do this car. It should mean decent profit in a short amount of time, which is always a bonus. Coolant needs to go back in. And this is the first of 2 cars today. We have got a story car as well to do afterwards. With a few little things we need to buy in between. Coolant back in. Now, I'm pretty sure that's everything. So in total for this car, we spent £1,796 fixing it, which isn't too bad. The car is going to pay us, I don't think I actually showed the screen, so I'll tell you. The car is going to pay us £4,842, which will give us a profit of £3,046. A nice little tidy sum to finish off the car with. And we can now go back to the owner. Nicely done. So that leaves us 55,000 in the bank. Now, the next story car requires painting. So we can't spend skill points, we don't have any. So we're going to buy the paint shop. £15,000 this paint shop is. But we're going to buy it. And we're going to get to use it straight away. Well, after doing everything else with the car we need to do. But that is needed for this next story car. So, let's have a little tour of the actual paint shop. We haven't really walked around the building before, I don't think. Not in an episode. So, this is the layout of the building. This is where everything is. I know I'm describing it really well. You don't really venture out that much. We will have to come a little bit to the paint shop in the future, I'm sure. But yeah, little doorway on the right there. Let's go through there. And this is our paint shop. Nice and brand new-ish looking. It's nice. Little door to go in. The detail is really good. I like the detail. None of this can be used. It's just supplies and stuff. But I just like the detail. I think that's quite a nice element to add. And that's how we paint. We can paint a part. We can paint a car. Obviously, there's no car in here just yet, so can't do that just yet. Are they both the same? So in the main bit of the garage where we fix things, the workshop, you can fix things at multiple areas. I generally just go to the first one. They don't do anything different, but you can fix at multiple different places. And it looks like it's similar in here. Now, paint pot we have got. I don't know why I've got a front left fender in our inventory. We have. So while we're here, we'll have a look. So you can change the paints, the type of paint as well, pearl, metallic. Factory colours as well come into play. And it says it's 1,000 credits. Is that 1,000? No, it's 100 credits a part. I think it's 1,000 credits a car for a whole car. I'm not a fan of painting different bits and pieces and parts. I suppose if you want a multicoloured car, yes. Engine parts you can paint, but again, is it worth it? I don't know really. Unless you're doing it for yourself, maybe. But It's not my thing. Similar to most games, I'm not one into cosmetics. Anyway, onto the story car. This is the car we need to do this is why we needed the paint shop. Let's put it that way. So this is a 1990 FMW Panther MK1 performance car as our story car. Now, this story is interesting. We've had a few dodgy stories, but this one is even better. So this kid borrowed the car from his dad. He was on a business trip. And as he's driving home at night, something jumped out in front of the car. He reckons he was driving very slowly. I doubt it. Didn't manage to brake. Definitely wasn't going that slowly. And you can see the results of that in front of you. The car was thrown around a bit, but it cannot be that bad, can it? Please do what you have to cover up the tracks. My father will hate me if he realises that I messed around with his gem. It's his beloved car, please make it quick. And you can see there's 2 pages of parts, and 1.5 pages of parts. Some body parts, change the oil, and we need to spray it with the factory colour. I would say straight away he's going to know this. Whatever we do, he's going to know there's an issue with this car. The fact he's claiming he drove slowly, I'm kind of disagreeing with at this point. My first instance as well, look at the state of it. The dirt on the car. I don't know. No, okay. We're going to buy a second upgrade. We've already bought the paint shop. We're going to buy the car wash. It's £1,750. We've got the money. And I just feel we may have to start washing every car. It doesn't cost you anything. But I can't not. It's looking at the car in that state, you just kind of feel like you've got to wash it. I do know that if you clean the interiors and wash cars that you are about to build yourself or restore, it does put an extra bit of value on the car. So that's worth doing. But I think for most cars, we'll probably end up washing them. I won't put it in every episode. It's kind of a bit silly to do so, but this is what it's like to wash a car. But yeah, I think it may be a standard service plan of the garage going forward. While we're in the car wash, why don't we examine the car? We're here. It makes sense. No? Okay, I'll move it first. I was going to do it there and then. But we're going to move back to the garage. There we go. So we'll speed through the examination and the testing of what we can and can't do. Nothing's really showing up bad at this point. It's all yellow. Nothing major. Oh, there's a little bit of red on that front right. Oh, rear right. There's a lot of red on the suspension. Why would there be a lot on the rear if something jumped out at the front? You'd think the front would be the messed up area. Not sure. We know his story's lying anyway, so there's probably more to it, and we just don't know. There's a tyre gone as well by the looks of things. Last check. This is the fuel test. Luckily the engine starts, that's a bonus. I don't think we're going to have much engine work to do. Looking at the testing, and looking here at all the things that he's doing, it's mainly suspension, which makes a change from most story cars. Generally you have to take the engine out. This one doesn't seem to be the case, which is quite nice. I do like not having to take an engine out. It saves you a lot of time. The spraying the car is the interesting one. It'll be the first time we've done it. And we need to change coolant and window washer as well. It's a nice engine though. Look at this nice shiny top. Right, we'll drain the coolant out while we're here. We don't think we're doing anything in the engine, so actually these we can get them out and it's not going to matter too much. Okay. We need to do oil while I think about it. And then I suppose that rear right needs dealing with. There's a lot of issues, that rear right suspension. So oil first. Yeah, it's got a fair amount in it. That's something at least. Okay, so while the car is in the air, let's have a look. Here we go. So the rim's definitely gone, straight away. That's an obvious one. Hopefully it's fixable and not having to buy a brand new one. Brakes have all gone as well. This is what I understand. The car something jumped out the front. He didn't have time to brake. The rear right is damaged. Yeah. Anyway, rear drive axle comes out. That's gone as well. We've got wheel hub. Can't take it off at the minute. There's a bearing inside, I think, that's why we can't. So rear shock absorber, we'll go around this side instead. Rear spring clip, that can all come off this. All this is damaged. This whole area. Okay, you have to take the whole rear right area off, braking system, suspension, and then replace and fix all of it. Just check the rubber bushings while we're here, you never know. I think that's okay. I think that one's not too bad either. Always worth checking while we're here though. So what looked like a decent job because there's no engine involved, maybe a little bit trickier, but we should be okay. So the suspension actually looks okay there. Yeah, the rear shock's fine. It's just all this other stuff needs to come off. Suspension arm. Lots of rusted bolts, which doesn't help us. What do we need to take off? What are we missing? Oh, the rubber bushing needs to come off first. It's all these little things you forget sometimes when you haven't done much suspension work. Rear suspension arm. It's always a rubber bush that messes me up. Every time. Okay, that's off. What are we missing? There's something inside, I think. Yeah, there we go, the wheel hub bearing. Then we can take everything else off. There's always something small that you just think, oh, where is it? So the wheel hub off as well. And then we've got the rear axle knuckle housing. And I think that is everything on this corner. Everything else looks okay. Drive shaft's okay. Can't see anything offhand. Let's have a look this side. Anything else? It's always worth having a manual look. Testing's all well and good, but a manual look is always good as well. A lot of damage is noticeable. Gives you a little bit of peace of mind that you've physically checked. Especially when you're missing something. So I think we're okay. Anything on the front wheels? We didn't really check the front suspension that much. I know nothing really showed up in our examination, but you just never know. I can't see anything. Brakes seem okay, looking through. It's not one of the first things I look for is looking through the tyres to see what the brakes are like. But everything looks okay. Yeah, nothing massively noticeable. We'll check the rubber bushings. Obviously they're my nemesis, so it's worth checking them while we're here. Though the one thing I'll miss if I don't check, so it's definitely worth checking them. Second one over there. And I think that is everything checked for the minute. Yeah, let's go and fix everything. Right, so we've fixed everything, we've repaired stuff, we've brought brand new parts where needed, and we're ready to rebuild this rear right end of the car. Suspension and braking system anyway. So we can put the rear suspension arm back on. Everything looks nice and shiny and new, which is always a bonus. I always vary when I fix things as well. Sometimes I'll fix them to 100%. Sometimes I'll look at what percentage they need a minimum fixing of and then do it to that. I'm kind of in two minds what you should and shouldn't do. Obviously, I don't think you get paid any more for doing too much. So it's not cost effective to go above and beyond. But sometimes I can't help myself but go to 100%. It's one of those weird ones. Right, rear drive axle back on. Brake caliper can go back on as well. Rear suspension upper arm. Some brand new rubber bushings. Look, it's so shiny, isn't it, when it's new? I like that. It's one of those things that really gives me a nice smile when you fix a car on this, where everything's shiny. I don't know, it's one of those satisfaction things. It's like when you pressure wash an area in real life and you see the area getting cleaned and it looks so good afterwards. It's like fixing cars. And you see all the shiny parts in place. It does make you feel good about what you've done. Okay, sway bar rear end link. Again, went to buy that brand new. Spring cap, another new one had to be bought. Couldn't fix it. A lot of the red parts can't be fixed, and a lot of this was red, so we had to buy new, which is going to affect the profit a little bit. Rear suspension arm can go back on as well with new rubber bushes. Nicely done. And then I think it's just the wheel. These are racing tyres as well. They are nice looking tyres. We had to buy a brand new tyre because the tyre had gone. I think we fixed the rim. I think. Okay, let's have a look. We're still missing one thing. This is where I get frustrated fairly quickly, because it's trying to find that one thing we've missed, and it could be anything. It's probably something really simple, but one part not discovered, and we know this has mostly been suspension, so it could be something really simple like a bushing we've missed. It could be something like a bearing. Yeah, it's probably going to be something simple, but it's just finding that simple thing. It could be anything, but it's generally something that was not showing up under examination. So it means something we have to physically take off, or there's another test, which would be test track and stuff like that. I want to avoid the test track. I would like to fix it and find it without. If we take forever, it'll be a test track, but I try and avoid using test track, just because it takes more time. Yes, I could probably speed up what I'm looking for by doing it, but I don't know, part of me just wants to find it myself. I think that's just me being persistent and stubborn. I want to say, yes, I can find it myself. I don't need all the tools to do so. But currently, no luck. It doesn't look like it's this left rear end. Everything looks okay. Everything's shiny and new. Obviously, we're checking the bushings. There's got to be something. And we've spent hours before looking for one thing, so I do know how frustrating it can be. That bushing's fine. And it's normally you kick yourself when you finally find it. You think, why did I not find that earlier? Okay, there's a small rubber bushing in there, so that's in the suspension part. So it's worth taking it off. You don't have a mount, no, they're fine. And it's worth double checking in case you take it off and it's something that doesn't look like it needs fixing, but it's worth checking the job list just in case. But no, that's all good. I'm thinking it's not rear right or rear left. We've definitely done the rear suspension. I can't. Right, let's have a look at the front. I can't see anything else at the rear. So it must be something around the front. We've got the cross member here, rubber bushings at the front. It could be something simple like that. No, that one's all good. Let's check these rubber bushings in this one. I'm going to take the part off to look at them. No, they seem okay. Just check the list just in case. Nope. Normally, I would cut this part out and actually show us finally finding and explain how long it was. But actually, this wasn't that long. At this point, it was really annoying. Still not the part. And I am going to the go-to things, the things that normally we miss, normally find difficult to deal with and remember. Just checking everything else. Can we see any amounts? Yeah, everything seems okay there. Okay, what else could it be? Front left, we haven't really looked at. And we spotted it. Here's an oil filter. That's what needed changing. Was an oil filter of all things. Again, it was something simple, but it wasn't what I was thinking about at the time. I don't even know if we had done the test track, whether that would have shown up, to be honest. But we found it. So that's all the parts dealt with that needed to be dealt with. That is 100% done. Now we can look at the other jobs. And the car can go back on the floor as well. Okay, so what else do we need to do? We need to change the liquids or put them back in. Not sure if we need to change the window washer, but coolant in first. There we go. Window washer, liquid. We're just going to top up. I don't think I need to empty it out. Some tell you to empty, some say just to refill. I can't remember what it said. I think we'll be okay. Oil. We drained the oil, didn't we? So we need to put some oil in. Can't forget that. That's a big issue. You forget that. That is nearly done. Anything else in here? Not that I can see. Okay, so all the parts are repaired and done. Body parts we still want to do. We've done the oil, factory colour. We've changed the two things need changing. So body parts are next. Now, there's not many of these. Only 5 parts. This car looks a lot worse than 5 parts need fixing, to be honest. And remembering the parts is difficult. I don't want to do more than we need to, because obviously we're not going to earn the money for doing so. So I'm trying to remember. Front right fender, I think that was correct. Left fender. You could probably fix a lot more of this car. Now what do we got? Front bumper, fenders both left and right. Rear bumper. We've already done the right headlight. That'll have to be a brand new one. You can't fix headlights. Let's go and fix these. Oh, okay, we can't fix anything. So we've bought everything brand new, we've got everything replaced that we need to buy. Let's put them all back on the car. So rear bumper on first. I didn't think the rear bumper looked that bad when we took it off. But it was on the list, so it's done. Obviously they're going to be a different colour, and this is why the factory paint colour comes in, I suppose. All new parts we buy are black. So that would be explaining why we need to paint it. Obviously if the guy's dad come back from his business trip and seen his car, bits of it were black. I think it's grey underneath the rust. You would then question what had happened, wouldn't you? Okay, so paint shop now. First proper use of the paint shop. And we've got to make sure factory colour. I don't want to paint anything else. Factory colour only. Can't get this wrong. And the factory colour for this is white. So hang on. The guy's gone on a business trip. His son has taken the car. The son has damaged the car. And the car was grey. But the son has asked it to be painted white. Now, white and grey can be quite similar in colour. But I would say this is noticeable as a difference. Surely. And also, that paint doesn't look like it's going to do as much job as we want it to do. And it is £1,000 to paint this. And I don't want to do it once. But yeah, we'll do it. That's what it wants us to do. That should be job complete. But it doesn't look good. And this is where you have to question about going above and beyond or not. I'm in two minds. I really am. Back into the garage. Yes, that's job done. To me, that doesn't look like a job done. We're going to spend a little bit of money. I'm going to try and weld it and see if that makes it. I don't think it will, but we'll give it a go. £500. No, it doesn't work. I think it's because the other parts need fixing. But yeah. Yeah, the bonnet needs fixing. That's the problem. It's 29%. So you can see the welding's helped inside rust, inside the engine bay. I can't leave this as it is. I really can't. I want to, because I know going above and beyond isn't going to help us. So currently they'll pay us £11,286 for job done. So remember that £11,286 while we, I think, go and fix the bonnet. Again, this is a good test to see if going above and beyond helps and gives you more money. I've got a feeling it doesn't. I've kind of put it to the test a little bit here and there. I've got a feeling it won't. But I don't think we've got much choice. I can't be happy with sending the car back as it is. I honestly think the dad's going to notice. Going from grey to white is quite a big difference. So I'll be surprised if he doesn't know his son's taken the car without permission. But even so, for the reputation of the garage itself, I feel we should really go and fix this. At least this. I know the doors are bad as well. See, the thing is, I could fix all of it. And replace the glass and everything else. If this shows us more money, then we will go and do it all. I've got a big suspicion it won't. Okay, one fix bonus. Straight into 100%. I've got a feeling there won't be an increase. So there we go, bonnet back on. And that looks 10 times better already. It's the wrong colour. But again, no money changes. Still £11,286. So no money is paid for extra jobs that aren't on the list. So that is a definite answer to that. So we know, don't go above and beyond on customer cars or story cars, because you do not get paid for it. It's not worth it. So this car's done. I'm not happy with the finish, but I don't have a choice. This is what the guy wanted, or the son wanted. His dad's going to find out. Anyway, for this story car, we spent £5,476. He paid us £11,286. Made a profit of £5,810. Plus, we've now also got the car wash and the paint shop. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining us. And next time, we're having a first trip to the junkyard.